hour with you. So whatever we can do to help out your team, make sure you send it off to us. We're happy to help. We're happy to bring you whatever information we can. So make sure you send it off to us. We are in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. So make sure you head out to Cafe Kubal for all of your tea, coffee, chai needs. Warm yourself up. They have ice, they have hot for many of their offerings here, and they have so many great things. They make their spices and syrups in-house and make their coffee. Everything is right here with us in our community. Made here, built here, progressed here, elevated here, and for you here in Central and Upstate New York. So make sure you head out to Cafe Kubal today, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street. Make sure you go out there to each of those locations for us in Syracuse, New York. And of course, you can also go to the 343 Fayette Street location in Manlius and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road to Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location of North Syracuse. With that being said, the Fantasy Football Power Hour, NFL Week 4, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub. In this hour, we are going to cover every single team in order of what you see. So that's why when you go back and watch this video and you got 10 minutes before game time and you're trying to figure out where everything is, all you have to do with this is click on our timeline here for the video, and you'll if you hear me talk about Cleveland and Atlanta and you need Washington Dallas information, you know it's coming up next. So that's why I put the schedule up here so that whenever you're listening, whatever game I'm talking about, you know where we are in the video, so you know where you need to be in order to get the information. So that's keeping it easy and simple. We start with Thursday night football, and we bring you through the Sunday 1 o'clocks, the 4 o'clocks, all the way to Sunday night football and Monday night football, and get you set for it. So if you have any questions throughout the broadcast, send them off to us on mixlr.com, facebook.com, and youtube.com, all /wakeupcalldt to keep it simple. So you can send us your questions immediately over to us. So make sure that you do that. We appreciate everybody that has, and we look forward to bringing you these matchups. So a lot of great stuff going on here in the NFL here in the first few weeks for the Miami Dolphins. This Miami Dolphins team is ruthless, and they have been fantastic, folks. I said that this Miami-Buffalo game was going to be a good one. I picked Buffalo, and I really thought that this game could go either way, and it did go the other way that many people may have thought it was going to go, going to the Miami Dolphins outlasting and winning 21-19 in this, which is crazy for some people to think that the Miami Dolphins right now are 3-0. I want to let you know, folks, that of 32 NFL teams through the first 3 weeks of 32 NFL teams, there are 2 teams that are undefeated, and I don't think you would have chosen either one of them, unless you're a diehard fan. The Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles are the only undefeated teams in America. Through 32 NFL franchises, only 2 are left undefeated through 3 weeks heading into week number 4. The Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears are all tied in the NFC North at 2-1. Tampa Bay is 2-1 in the NFC South. The Rams are 2-1, defending their Super Bowl. The Eagles are 3-0, as I mentioned. Dallas and New York are 2-1 behind them. Kansas City and Denver are both 2-1 in the AFC West. Jacksonville is the only 2-win team in the AFC South, 2-1. The Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens are 2-1 in the AFC North, surprising there, with the Bengals at 1-2, and the Miami Dolphins are 3-0. The Bills are 2-1. So there's only 2 undefeated teams left. We've looked at, you look at seasons where you're like, okay, 14 weeks in, is this team still going to be undefeated? How many teams are going to be undefeated into week 8, week 9? There are only 2 teams left, and 2 of the most unlikely teams are left in Miami and Philadelphia, 3-0. 1 team in the AFC, 1 team in the NFC. Nuts. And the Miami Dolphins are going to be kicking things off for us this broadcast of the Fantasy Football Power Hour as they're on the road at the Bengals, which is a team that's reeling. Kind of a good situation here for Cincinnati as they've struggled to protect Joe Burrow, and Miami has just been getting after it. Also good for Miami to get out of the state of Florida right now as it's hurricane season, and I'm praying and hoping to God, and if you'll all allow me today, well, I mean, whether you allow me or not, I'm going to do it. It's my show and it's what I believe in. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, I'd like to say a prayer. God, please protect everyone that is in any type of situation of strife, any type of stress, mental, emotional, physical, economical, spiritual, whatever is going on with anybody anywhere. Please be with them, God. Please help them. Please save us, help us, protect us, guide us toward what is good, guard us from what it is not. Help us to know the difference between the two and help us to be the good. It's things that we can't control, like Hurricane Ian. Please, with your beautiful and helping hand, may you swoop down and take that hurricane and dissipate it and send it back to the water, away from everyone. Please do not take any lives, and if any have been lost, may no more be lost. If anything is lost, may it be something that can be repaired, and may we not care as much about the material and physical things as we do our own lives and the lives of those we love. Please protect everybody in the path of Hurricane Ian or anything else. Keep us healthy, keep us safe from any storm, and help us to remember that sometimes you calm the storm and other times you calm the sailor. So please calm this storm and calm the sailor. Whatever you choose, God. I love you. I appreciate you. I believe in you. Please keep us safe, especially all my loved ones. Papa Joe, Mary, Joey, Boom Boom, everybody. My Aunt Jeannie's family, my Aunt Jeannie, my Aunt Carol, my nieces, Carly and Gracie, Jason, their families, everybody that I know down in Florida. Please, God, keep us all safe and sound. Dale Shackelford, I love you, God, with all that I am. And to my man Amari Palmer, a.k.a. Odyssey Jones, to Aaron Hackett, to Nate Trout, to the Denneberg family, to everybody down in Florida, please be safe and sound and everywhere, Lord. Please, please take this storm away from us. Please take any pain away from us. Help us to learn from it. Pain leads to lessons. Lessons lead to blessings, as we heard yesterday from Shamarko Thomas. Please keep us safe and sound. McKinley Williams and his family, and may everything be okay. In Jesus' most precious name, Lord, please keep us healthy, safe, and happy. And may this storm nor anything else hurt any of us. I love you with all that I am. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, thank you for that time. I appreciate you joining me in prayer for those of you that did, and God bless to everybody out there that needs it. The Miami Dolphins at the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, Tua, he's a little bit banged up here as a back injury. He's questionable. But if Tua is able to go, the man's been putting up them numbers. He's been doing work. So you got to look at a guy like Tua, and I mean, there's a reason why this team is 3-0. They have been able to score a lot of points, and they've been able to do some good things here. They have scored at least 20 points in every one of their games. They scored 42 against the Ravens. And so taking a look at this, Tua right now, 71.3% completion percentage, almost 1,000 passing yards through 3 games with 925. He has 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. So big shout out to Tua for that. I think that Tua in this matchup is worth the play because I don't really trust in anything happening in Cincinnati right now. So I have Tua as a mid-range to lower-end 1, but I do have him as a lower-end 1. Tyreek Hill is worth the play as well. Jalen Waddle has a groin injury. Those and the hamstring injuries are nagging, so watch it. But if he is able to go, I think he's worth playing as well. And, the running back situation's kind of up in the air in my opinion, right? Because there's a bunch of different guys that they utilize. So, I mean, Chase Edmonds right now has, as far as touchdowns go, he has the only 2. So if you're going to play anybody, it would be Chase, but I would have him as a 3 or a 4 running back for you. I'd have him in which would put him in a flex position in our league. So if you got to flex somebody out, I guess you can look at flexing him out just because of, it's not a bad matchup, but at the same time, hopefully you have a better running back situation that you don't have to rely on that. As far as and then on the other side of it, Mike Gesicki taking a look at him. If Jalen Waddle's out, especially, he does have a touchdown this season. So watch the Waddle injury if you own Gesicki. If you have Gesicki, then he is worth. I got him as a lower end tight end 1, high end tight end 2. And if Jalen Waddle's out and it's Tyreek Hill and Mike Gesicki, then he gets more value this week. So just watch that. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, listen, I mean, it hasn't been a fantastic situation by any stretch of the imagination for him this year because they haven't been able to protect him. So that is a danger zone. And it's an unfortunate danger zone because of the fact that there is a lot of talent here. Burrow's 64% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 812 yards. He's been sacked 15 times through 3 weeks, which is gross because that means he's been hurried and pressured more than that. So, I mean, if you're going to play anybody in this situation, he doesn't have a rushing touchdown yet, but Joe Mixon is your best bet. Jamar Chase is still a 1, but a lower end 1 because of the situation in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is a lower end 1 because of the situation in Cincinnati. Mixon right now, with their inability to protect the quarterback, he becomes your best bet for the Cincinnati Bengals. Not that the other guys don't have value. Their value has just dropped because of the situation that they're in. I mean, if you can't protect the quarterback, then, what do you really expect to accomplish in the passing game? So, I mean, I think if people are blaming Joe Burrow, you have to look at how many times this man has been sacked and just what he's had to go through this season, which is really not fair to him and obviously not fair to this team. You needed, people talk about the fact that they needed to, bolster up their line and get their line to protect him better. And now we're sitting here talking about the same thing, right? The line needs to protect him better. And obviously they haven't, or else we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in, talking about a quarterback that has been, just mauled over and over and over again, which is really not fair to anybody involved. So hopefully that gets better in that situation. Next thing up here that we have is our 1 o'clock games for Sunday. So we have Minnesota at New Orleans. Minnesota heading up against New Orleans in this matchup as we take a look at the Minnesota Vikings going up against the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Minnesota is reeling. New Orleans, you kind of figured going into this season that the quarterback situation wasn't going to be great. But you look at Minnesota, they've really struggled to score the ball. And, and that is something that can't be understated at all. Minnesota, looking at the talent that they have, should be able to find their way into the end zone, and they haven't been lately. And Justin Jefferson was really quiet for me this past week. They are playing New Orleans' defense, so I do like Justin Jefferson still as a 1. Adam Thielen would dip down for me a little bit here. I'm going to have Adam Thielen maybe as a flex wide receiver for you, just because of the fact that if Justin Jefferson isn't getting it, then I don't anticipate Thielen to get it. I mean, Thielen does have a touchdown. Jefferson's got 2. KJ Osborne, my guy that came from Buffalo to Miami, he has 1 this year. And Irv Smith Jr., the tight end, has 1. So, I mean, the ball is getting spread out, but this offense is spread thin as far as fantasy each week. So, you definitely have to look at that and pay attention to that. People are excited about Alexander Mattison because of the shoulder injury with Delvin Cook, and not excited about Delvin Cook being injured, but that the opportunity, if they went and actually selected Alexander Mattison later on in their fantasy draft. So, Delvin Cook, to me, if he is able to go, then he obviously has value here. And outside of that, Alexander Mattison, I would give him a little bit, but it's a flex. I'd still have him as a running back 3. Kirk Cousins, I would keep off right now just because of the inability to move the ball. Jefferson, I like. Thielen, I'd put as a lower end 2, higher end 3. On the other side of it, it's Alvin Kamara. Michael Thomas has gone down with a toe injury. Definitely have to watch that. Chris Olave, I thought at some point, and I said this going into the season, and some people were like, really, Dan? You think so? Yeah, I do. I think Chris Olave is going to be the number 1 wide receiver in New Orleans. And I said that before the season started, before the injury to Michael Thomas. Go back and check the tape. So I like Chris Olave for you to play him this week. And still, you could probably put him in a flex position because I would imagine you got him maybe later on in the draft. And, Juwan Johnson, it's so up and down. Sometimes he sparks, sometimes he doesn't. So he's hard for me to tell you to play him here. So there is some value here. There should be more. But unfortunately, the way that Minnesota has been playing has kind of made this an uglier situation than one would expect. Cleveland and Atlanta, and make sure you're sending me over your questions if and when you have them, because we'll be happy to answer them. Cleveland at Atlanta right now, taking a look at this situation here. And we got a question that came in. Do we like Najee, Harris, Jones, or Kamara for the remainder of the season? That's a really tough question to answer, Ben. I do appreciate the question, but for the remainder of the season, there's a million things that could happen. Any one of those guys could get injured. Their quarterback situation in Pittsburgh could change. So I'm guessing you're asking about Aaron Jones. If I had to pick right now, I would say Najee over Jones, then Kamara, I guess. But, Ben, it is. I guess maybe you're looking to trade one. It is very difficult to pick somebody for the entire rest of the season because anything can happen. And so you just got to kind of look at that. So I do appreciate the question. Maybe you could be more specific on that one. Greg said, I'm 0-3, got offered Jalen Hurts and Jerry Jeudy for Waddle and Dak. Well, this is a tough one for me, Greg, because I like Jalen Waddle. Dak's going to come back, and the person that's trading with you is banking on the fact that he's gonna be able to spark. And so he's obviously trying to outsmart you in this one. And I would tell you that, Jalen Hurts, right now, people know that they can sell him because they know that, he obviously is bringing value right now immediately, okay? And so that's going to put you in a situation where it could be very enticing, which I'm sure it is for you right now. But Jerry Jeudy, there's a question mark because as much as Denver is 2-0 or 2-1, they have failed to score a lot of points. And, so Jerry Jeudy, that's going to be the thing that's tough here is like half of this is good and the other half I kind of scratch my head at, right? So I like the Jalen Hurts part, but I'm not really big on the Jerry Jeudy part, and I don't really want you to give up Jalen Waddle. So I would say to kind of be in a holding pattern right now. So, I understand you're 0-3, but Greg, maybe it would help me if you could tell me I would not trade away Waddle at the moment. But if you could tell me what's the rest of your roster look like, that can probably help me out. Like, do you have another quarterback besides Dak? And then Ben said, I'd agree I said Najee over Jones and Kamara. He said, I have Jones, but I need a quarterback. Someone in the league has Kamara and Najee and Justin Herbert. So I'd like to package Jones +1 for Najee and Herbert. Yeah, if you can get Najee Harris and Justin Herbert, Ben, I say go for it, right? I'm okay with you giving up Jones for Najee and Herbert. If somebody's stupid enough to trade that away, take it. But I would question the person that would trade away Najee Harris and Justin Herbert because that just seems like someone who's never played fantasy football before. If you can do it, man, then do it. I don't know why somebody would trade that away, but if you can, then all the power to you. Keep your questions coming. Happy to answer them as we go through this. And like I said, we're going in order of what you see on your screen. So if you want to know where we are in the pecking order, I don't want to say the pecking order here because it's just a schedule. If you want to know where we are and what game we're talking about, then, whatever game I'm discussing, you can obviously see it in the right-hand corner. So Cleveland, we're talking about now, Cleveland at Atlanta. And do we have another question come in? Ben said, awesome. Well, his starting quarterback is Lamar, so that's why I think I could get Herbert cheaper. Yeah, you may be able to. I'm not sure why he drafted both for security. Ben, he did that for security. So he did it so he doesn't have to play against it. I did that one year. I drafted Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, but it also gives you agita because you're like, oh my God, I have them both. Like, shouldn't I play them both? So I can understand that. Greg said, I've been streaming quarterbacks since week 1. My running backs are Swift, Etienne, Stevenson, Jamal Williams. My wide receivers are Marquise Hollywood Brown, Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Waddle, and Dubs. And my tight end is Kittle. All right, well, your tight end, obviously, Kittle's hoping to come back here soon, which is a good thing. I like your running backs, Greg. So to go back up and look at this, I mean, you'd be trading receiver for receiver, quarterback for quarterback. I'd probably hold on it right now because Judy is a big question mark. And yes, Philadelphia is winning, but Jalen Hurts isn't breaking the bank right now. So I would kind of just hold on that for a second and see. I wouldn't get rid of Waddle right now. I mean, Dak, it's kind of a toss-up, right? The person that's trying to trade with you right now is looking at the situation where that Dak is going to have an upside. So on the Cleveland-Atlanta side of things, to get back to the schedule here, and we'll go back to Ben's question in a second. Jacoby Brissett hasn't been doing a bad job. I told you I covered NC State. I covered him out there, and I'm a fan of Jacoby Brissett. I don't know how great they're going to do, but it was a great backup to pick up in this Deshaun Watson drama. I still like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Think they're worth the play for you this week. The wide receivers in Cleveland kind of leave me with a question mark here. There's nobody that I'm over, dramatically sold on by any stretch. So I don't know if I can sit here right now and say, yeah, there's definitely a receiver that I think you should take. I think the value lies in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt for Cleveland. I think on the other side of it, Cordero Patterson has some value as a flex because he's a true flex. But I look at the fact that Tyler Algier, who I told you, the rookie going into the season, I thought was going to eventually become the starter on this team. He's a guy that I thought was going to rise up the ranks here, and I think he, early on is already starting to do that. I like Drake London. I like Kyle Pitts. And Olamide Zaccheaus, he had 2 passes in the win, so he's a deep flex. He's like a wide receiver 4 or 5 right now. But I like Pitts. I like London. Cordero as a flex. Tyler Algier, watch that. If you can grab him and stash him, I would definitely look at doing something like that. But there's a lot of value here with both of these teams. Next one that we're going to do here before we take a fast break, we're going to a couple more in. Washington at Dallas we'll go to, but we had a couple questions come in here, or a statement, I should say. My receiver depth, Ben, is crazy. A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Cook, CeeDee Lamb, and DeAndre Hopkins. Is Jones plus Kirk for Najee plus Herbert good? Don't want to overpay. Jones could very well have a better season than Najee still. Yeah, I don't really want to see you give up Aaron Jones. You know what I mean? And Christian Kirk, man, he's got a lot of upside. So I wouldn't do the Jones Kirk thing. That would be a no for me. I'd have sweaty palms on that one, and I don't get sweaty palms a lot. So I would tell you to stay away from that one for sure. If you have more questions, keep sending them in. You can send them on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. You can literally send us questions on any one of these outlets, so make sure you do that. Running through these, Washington at Dallas. So we're going to go to the Washington Commanders/Redskins/football team. We're going to go to the Washington Commanders and Dallas game. And so taking a look at this one here, as your questions can come in, we appreciate it. Thanks to Ben, thanks to Greg, thanks to everybody that sent stuff in this morning. Appreciate it very much. Always happy to help you. And if you send in a question after the video is done being live, and I can obviously see those questions and answer those questions on any one of our feeds as well. So make sure you keep sending them over to us because we're always happy to help you. Washington Commanders here. Terry McLaurin, I had a do I play him? Do I not play him? This past week, I should have played him. So, I think Terry McLaurin's a guy that you really can't keep on your bench. I do like him there. And Jahan Dotson hasn't done a ton, so he's a wide receiver 4 for me. I think Terry McLaurin's still a 1 for you. Antonio Gibson, kind of a toss-up here. I got him as a lower-end running back 2 at the moment, and that's really where I see the value for you. Logan Thomas, just not really sold on him. And then we still have Dak Prescott out. If you're in a league with a team quarterback, this is where your benefit comes in, right? Because Dak's expected to return week 5, but Cooper Rush hasn't done that bad. So I do like, what he's been able to do for sure. Zeke Elliott, I got him as a running back too. CeeDee Lamb is definitely worth the play for you. Dalton Schultz right now has the PCL injury, so God willing, he's able to play. Just watch that. Really, the value is in CeeDee Lamb and a little bit of value in Zeke for Dallas. Not a ton to write home about. Should be more than it is, but Dallas has been underwhelming, and that's the unfortunate part of the Dallas Cowboys in recent history here. Do have some thoughts coming in. The big upside is having Herbert, currently working with Carr, which isn't awful, but a little nervous each week. Yeah, I can understand that, but Derek Carr has a lot of weapons. He's been doing a lot of things, and I have him in one of my leagues, and he's definitely done me well. What about Jones and D-Hop for Najee and Herbert? Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that, but you're giving up the benefit to a lot of upside, Ben. You're definitely giving up. You're giving up what the future could hold. So I'm not against that situation. So yeah, let me just send this over to Ben. So I'm not against you trading Jones and D-Hop, but you're definitely you're potentially, I should say, selling the future for the present at the moment. So just, be leery of that. I'm giving up a huge Jones game for a lower ceiling but more consistent Najee. Yeah, Najee is consistent, but I think your team is most dangerous if you can find a way to have them both. I think Jones and Najee are a great 1-2 punch. So I just, and especially the way that the passing game's gone for Green Bay, the last couple of years, I think Aaron Jones is just a tough thing to give up. Seattle at Detroit, let's jump into that. Let's take a look at Seattle and Detroit. I would tell you that this is an ugly game, but Seattle and Geno Smith have been doing better than I thought they would, and Detroit has been doing better than I thought they would as well. So, these are two good moments here. I've got CMC at running back 1. Well, and here's the thing with CMC. He's injury prone. So you do have him at running back 1. But if you give up Aaron Jones to get Najee and something happens to CMC, now you have 1. So I wish they give Jones more work. Skill-wise, he's a top 5 running back. Yeah, I definitely think Jones should get more work, but he's in an Aaron Rodgers offense. That's the tough part of it. Seattle at Detroit, looking at this game. Rashad Penny, Kenneth Walker III, both of these guys are flex guys for me because nobody's really shown out. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, not bad for you. If they had Russell Wilson, the world would be different, but they don't have Russ the Bus. So, you look at these guys to be possession guys for you, right, and to help you in PPR leagues. Right now, we have 21 catches for Lockett through 3 games, 16 for Metcalf. Metcalf has a touchdown. Colby Parkinson has a touchdown. Disley has 2 tutties. So even though he's considered the backup on the depth chart behind Noah Fant, Will Disley is the guy they bring in to throw touchdowns to. So Disley is kind of a sneaky, low-end 1, high-end 2 tight end. I think he may, in a game like this against Detroit, could get him, could get another touchdown from him in this situation. So Lockett and DK, I have them relegated to like a 3, right? So I don't have him as a number 1 for sure. And then it's hard for me to put him at number 2 because of the production of this offense and the question marks. I do like Disley, but Metcalf and Lockett, I would have liked them a lot more in the offense last year than in the offense this year. And it's no offense to Geno Smith. It's just, look at their numbers. They're not performing at the highest level. Between the two of them, they have 1 touchdown in 3 weeks. And then on the other side of it, DeAndre Swift, this guy has to stay healthy, God willing. He's questionable with a shoulder injury. If he's able to go, you could look to him. If not, Jamal Williams, put him in your running back 3 flex. Amon-Ra St. Brown right now is questionable with an ankle injury. If he's able to go, he is somebody that you could look at putting out there and playing as a 3rd receiver. DJ Shark hasn't done much of anything, but with a bunch of guys injured, if that's the situation with Josh Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and DJ Shark, he's got to throw to somebody, so you can look to him. I think TJ Hawkinson's value goes up this week. It's really Hawkinson and Swift, if Swift is healthy enough to go, in my opinion, for this Seattle at the Detroit game. Tennessee at Indianapolis, 2 teams that have been really struggling coming out of the AFC south here. And as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, I'm okay with that in the comfort of my own home. I'm fine if they want to tie each other like the Colts did with Houston. But looking at the Indianapolis, obviously wishing bad on no one ever. Just saying, as a fan, if y'all tie, I'm not going to be mad at you. Tennessee at Indianapolis. In this game, Derrick Henry obviously is worth the play for you. Hassan Haskins, Dontrell Hilliard, a lot of guys here that are going to be part of the potential future of Tennessee or the NFL in general. But you got to play Derrick Henry. Treylon Burks, not a lot going on. Not a lot with Robert Woods, which I'm not surprised about that. And really, Derrick Henry is the only guy I can tell you from Tennessee. And on the other side, the only guy I feel comfortable telling you about is Jonathan Taylor. I do like Michael Pittman Jr. now that he's back, God bless. So hopefully that'll go well. I think this is a running back matchup with a PPR look at Nyheim Hines in Indy and Michael Pittman Jr. But, I think between the two, I feel good about Derrick Henry and then Jonathan Taylor on the other side, although they both have been underwhelming at times. But Indy's got more value in this game with Nyheim Hines and Michael Pittman Jr. Chicago at the Giants here. This is a game that back in the day would have been won in the trenches, right? Would have just been that punch down, drag out, dirty, muddy game where these teams would just be beating the heck out of each other. And maybe we could grind it out in this one. We'll see. But for the Chicago Bears, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert's done some good things coming out of Virginia. I covered him there. I do like him. And, if David Montgomery's ankle doesn't get better, then Khalil Herbert is not a bad flex for you. Just watch the Montgomery situation. I am as a running back, too, when he is healthy. And then Darnell Mooney, not a bad play for you, but I have him as a lower end 2, higher end 3. I mean, a bunch of these wide receivers I'm talking about I don't feel are number ones. And they are number ones on their team, but are they a fantasy number one? And what I mean by that is, are they the guy that I really think can, bring you in 15, 20 points? Do I think they can be a game changer? And I don't think that Darnell Mooney right now is a game changer. Obviously covered Tulane, and that's the school that he comes from. But, I haven't seen him do anything that's going to make me say, oh, okay, yeah, like that's your guy. So, I mean, looking at it right now, Equinemius St. Brown is the guy that's been leading in yardage. It's gross. Through 3 weeks, the best yardage that we have is 77 yards. This is just disgusting. Mooney has 27 yards in 3 games. I mean, Chicago's offense is just not moving. So, Khalil Herbert has 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's really the play for you, right? And you could probably still get him because he's probably still out there because people are probably not paying attention to Chicago's dismal offense. So Khalil Herbert's the one bright spot. Go out and get him. Saquon Barkley on the other side, I do like him in this situation. And outside of that, I'm not really sold on any of the tight ends or wide receivers for the Giants. I mean, this to me is Khalil Herbert and Saquon Barkley. That's all I have to say about this one. Ugly game. Jacksonville at Philadelphia. How about this one, folks? 2-1. Who would have thunk it for Jacksonville? And 3-0, who would have thunk it for Philadelphia? This could have been your Super Bowl, folks. Back in the day. Just a few years ago, this could have been the Super Bowl that we saw played out in Minnesota. But Jacksonville lost by 4 to the New England Patriots. And then the Patriots eventually lost to the Philadelphia Eagles after beating Minnesota in the NFC Championship game. So we did not see the Super Bowl, but it's one that we could have seen. So this will be a good one here to see a test. I mean, Jacksonville was definitely tested by Washington. We got a lot of questions coming in here, so I want to make sure we get to these. We'll get to the matchup in just a second here. Let's see here. Josh said, trade Deontay Johnson and Khalil Herbert for Mike Evans. No, because Mike Evans has been injury prone. So Josh, if you're with us here, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say no on the Herbert trade because, as I just told you, Herbert is the only bright spot in Chicago right now. They've been going to him. And then, Johnson, I wouldn't, and then Ben actually weighed in here and said no on that. I agree with you. And then Ben said, do we like CeeDee Lamb or Kirk this week? Well, Philadelphia does allow points. I like Kirk every week. And CeeDee Lamb, it's a toss-up because he has Cooper Rush right now. And Josh said the quarterback situation scares me. It shouldn't, man. I think Kenny Pickett's going to take over, and I think it's going to be better sooner than later. So I do like that. And then Josh said Mitch isn't good in the pocket. You don't have to worry about that because I don't think he's going to be there that long. And then, yeah, no worries, Ben. So, Ben, I would tell you right now, I'm going to say, if I have to choose, I'm going to say Kirk over CD just because of the quarterback situation. So that's to you, Ben, if you're tuning in here. So Jacksonville's matchup at Philadelphia. Listen, Trevor Lawrence, I told you he was going to have a good sophomore year. I told you he was going to have an uptick and he was going to progress forward. I told you that going into the season. So, and he's definitely done some good things. I like what Trevor's been doing. I do have him as a low end 1, high end 2, because I'm sure you probably have him as your backup quarterback, as you should coming into the season, which I totally understand. What did Ben say? CD has better matchup and still getting 11.5 targets without Dak, so it's tough. It is tough. It is tough because, what does Dallas have besides CD Lamb? Michael Gallup is not 100% healthy, and he hasn't stepped it up. Amari Cooper's gone. So, you think the ball is going to go to CD, but Christian Kirk has been good in PPR, and he's also been good in yardage, and he's been good in being sniffing out the touchdown the last couple weeks. So 2 out of 3 weeks getting in the end zone. Hard to underestimate that and underappreciate that. And I also like the fact that, he has Trevor Lawrence. So I like Christian Kirk in this game. I like Robinson and Etienne. Hard to keep either one of them off. I do like this sneaky low-end 1, high-end 2 Evan Engram because PPR leagues, Trevor Lawrence has been going to him. So make sure you look out for that. In Philadelphia, you got to play Jalen Hurts as of right now. I do believe in this. Gardner Minshew, by the way, is going to see a bunch of his old teammates when Jacksonville goes to Philadelphia because he is the backup quarterback to Jalen Hurts. Miles Sanders, still the leader here. As long as he's healthy, he's the guy. So you definitely have to go Sanders in this game. And Dallas Goedert, I think you got to get after him as well. I do like putting him out there. Devontae Smith, I think, is going to get shut down more than A.J. Brown in this. I like A.J. in this matchup more than Devontae. I got A.J. as a wide receiver 1, low end 1, high end 2. I got Devontae as a 2 in this matchup. So a lot of fantasy value. A question coming in. Let's see here. What about Carr or Trevor Lawrence? That's a tough one. Well, Trevor Lawrence has been doing a lot of good things. I mean, I was on site on location when he went 25 of 30. Should have been 26, but his receiver clearly dropped the ball. So I would say, well, you got the Vegas Raiders playing up against Denver, whose defense has been good and offense has been bad. I would say I probably like Trevor Lawrence against Philadelphia better. So I would say Lawrence. I would say Lawrence this week. I mean, I like Lawrence in a lot of weeks, but I would say Lawrence over Carr this week, just because of how Jacksonville's really spreading the ball out. He's getting it to a bunch of different receivers, and in my leagues, which you guys, if you're not a part of, you should definitely join the Wake Up Call Fantasy Football Leagues for this upcoming season. We have leagues that we could do nationwide. We have a Florida league at Hooters. We have our Central New York leagues at the Wildcat Sports Pub. And we have our Marywood Alumni League. You could definitely look at joining one of our national leagues if you're not in Florida or New York for next season. If you're in Florida or New York, you can join our Hooters or Wildcat leagues respectively. But definitely would love to have you all join the leagues. In my league, your quarterback gets points, I think, per every 10 yards. Plus they get, so they get an advantage here. And your receivers get a point every reception. Well, anybody gets a point every reception, plus every 10 yards. So a lot of high scoring. Also, Zay Jones, not a bad possession receiver. He's a low-key flex. And I know that that's a thing in football, and it's a thing out of football, so hey. But Zay Jones, I do like his up-and-coming behavior here in this offense. But I definitely think Christian Kirk is worth the play. Before we take a step aside, let me jump into a couple more here. We'll get the 1 o'clocks done. There's a ton of 1 o'clocks this week, so we're going to get through the 1 o'clocks here. The Jets at Pittsburgh. That's another reason why to keep Deontay Johnson back to Josh. They're playing the Jets this week, so let's think about that. I know you don't like your quarterback situation, but I do think it's going to change. I think they're trying to hold out as long as they can to get Kenny Pickett acclimated, but he's eventually going to take over, in my opinion, and I think he should. I think Mitch was always the Band-Aid to this, and that the real move was to implement the Kenny Pickett piece into the offense, put him under center. So I think that's coming sooner than later. Could come in this game. So it would be a nice game to test it, since the Jets aren't bad, but they're not really a true test. I like Michael Carter and Breece Hall. They're both good. They're both hard to keep off your team. I know they're not running back ones, but they're still good to have in your two deep. That's really all I like from the Jets. On the other side of it for Pitt, obviously Najee Harris, you got to play him. Jalen Warren's come up here, so look at that, behind Najee, but Najee's definitely the guy. Deontay Johnson, I like him, and I like Freiermuth as a tight end too. Still, I'm a fan of his. He's better than I think people give him credit for, but, obviously consistency is key, and your tight end's got to get you something, and there's not a lot of tight ends that you can rely on, so I do like him, but as a tight end too. Buffalo at Baltimore. What a tough game for the Bills to have to play after losing to the Dolphins in their first loss of the season. Now they got to go and play Baltimore, and they got to go do it on the road. This is not a great situation. Baltimore's defense hasn't been that wonderful, so they're going to try and score a lot of points. I think this is going to be a really high-scoring game. I think there's a lot of fantasy value. I think you should be happy if you have players on either one of these teams. I'm going to... Josh Allen, yes. Stephon Diggs, right now, he's got a lower body injury. He's questionable, so just watch that. Gabe Davis's stock goes up either way. Isaiah McKenzie's stock goes up as a flex. Dawson Knox, he should be played at tight end. Singletary, not bad, but hopefully you can put him as a lower end 2 or high end 3 running back. Lamar Jackson's worth the play. J.K. Dobbins is worth the play. Rashad Bateman's worth the play, and Mark Andrews. So, I mean, these teams have plays at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So hopefully you have somebody that I just named off. And then we have the Chargers at Houston. The Chargers are playing the AFC South. They just played Jacksonville, lost at home by 4 touchdowns, 38-10. And now the Chargers are going to be leaving home to go on the road and play Houston, which is a good thing because Houston, cut and paste of the last 2 seasons, now the 3rd season in a row here, at least. Houston has many problems. So the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert, yes. Austin Eckler, yes. Keenan Allen, if he's healthy, yes. Mike Williams, either way, yes. The hamstring, like the groin nagging injury for Keenan, so watch that. And then Gerald Everett, I got him as a tight end too for your Chargers. The Houston Texans, I like Davis Mills. I think he's a steal as a round 3 Stanford quarterback. I like it. But really the value here, Brandon Cooks maybe in a PPR. You can throw him out there as a wide receiver 3. And Dameon Pierce as a running back 3 or 4 in your stable. You could potentially put him out there. But the value lies in Los Angeles in this game. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family friendly. Some family friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York, on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners for their drive-through location. You can go to cafekubal.com. That's cafekubal.com for those of you that are out of town. With that being said, we are inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour from the Wildcat Sports Pub, NFL Week 4, 2022-23 season. We just did Thursday Night Football and all of your 1 o'clock games on Sunday. Now moving into our 4 o'clock games, we have 3 of them, and then we have Sunday night and Monday night football. So happy to be here with you. Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue, Camillus, New York. Head out there 7 days a week. Watch all the games. Baseball, basketball coming up, football, lacrosse, hockey, all the good stuff, soccer. Go out to the Wildcat Sports Pub. It is a fantastic place to bring your family, go on a date, go with the girls, go with your buddies, have an anniversary party. They have a private area that you can reserve one of the rooms. You can reserve part of that room. There's a massive, massive screen, surround sound, NFL ticket, all of the good stuff. Head out to the Wildcat Sports Pub today and all throughout the week on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And if you're going to be at home, obviously you can go for takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat Sports Pub. If you're coming into town from out of town, make sure that you take our advice and head off to the Wildcat. Best fried dough that I've had in Central New York in a very, very long time. So, with that being said, 4 o'clock games, Arizona at Carolina. Man, back in the day, this could have been a game. You know what I mean? And Carolina is just trying to figure it out. Arizona, in their certain respect, without DeAndre Hopkins, is trying to figure it out. So Kyler Murray, James Conner, I like them both in this matchup. And Marquise Hollywood Brown, I do like him in this. Hopefully A.J. Green will get back healthy, and as well as Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore has a hamstring, AJ has a knee injury, so Hollywood has even more value this week, and so does Zach Ertz. So I got him as a tight end one in this, especially playing up against Carolina that doesn't have a lot to write home about. CMC, Christian McCaffrey, play him in this one. DJ Moore got me 2 points this past week, and it's the reason why I struggle to draft DJ Moore, because he's a 1,000-yard receiver, but he has these moments that make me go, why did I draft you? So, looking at DJ Moore, folks, he's still one of your top. He's a wide receiver 2. That's what I'm going to put. He's a wide receiver 2 at the moment. He's a high-end 2. That's where I have him at the moment. CMC is really where the value is in Carolina, and you got a ton of value from quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end in Arizona, as I just mentioned. So, you know, obviously, go out there. James Conner, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Zach Ertz, Kyler Murray, like them all. Next one up that we have here, New England at Green Bay. This could have been a big time. I mean, back in the day, this is Super Bowl, right? But right now, Mac Jones is hurt. So that's a tough thing. God willing, he gets better and stays with it here and can get back out there for the team and be at 100%. And on the other side of it, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, but what a dramatic situation we have there. Mac Jones, you got to watch this. Brian Hoyer and Bailey Zappi might be out there. Mack is doubtful with an ankle injury, which means Brian Hoyer might be out there, but you might also get to see Bailey Zappi. There's a reason why Bill Belichick you say, why is he drafting these quarterbacks when you got a young guy? Why are you drafting another young guy? Well, because you may need him right now. Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, their value goes up this week because of the quarterback situation. Hunter Henry, what does a quarterback do when they're filling in for the starter? Typically, you'll see a quarterback go to the running back and the tight end. So Hunter Henry, I have him in this as a lower end 1, high end 2. Jacoby Myers is questionable, and the rest of the receiving core is questionable for the Patriots. I don't have anybody out there. Just watch the Jacoby Myers situation. Good in PPR. Next one that we have up here, Green Bay on the other side of it. Aaron Rodgers, yes. Aaron Jones, yes. A.J. Dillon, not a bad flex for you. And still waiting for him to get going. And Alan Lazard is worth the play. Romeo Dubs, that's what the guy was telling me that he had. So, okay, so Romeo Dubs, I understand. Baby Santa. First and foremost, I love your YouTube name. Shout out to you. Love that you have that name. I hope Baby Santa writes to us every week just so I can say the name Baby Santa. So we had Sup Boss trade question. Would you trade away Keenan Allen, Rashad Bateman, and Zach Ertz for Michael Pittman Jr., Gabe Davis, and Irv Smith? Half PPR. Pitts is my tight end right now. Keenan Allen, Rashad Bateman, and Zach Ertz for Pittman, Gabe Davis. Yeah. I think I would go with that. You know, but my holdup on it, Baby Santa, is trading away Allen and Bateman because Allen has the top 5 caliber. And Michael Pittman's already been out. And Gabe Davis is a backup. So I feel like you'd have to give up too much. So I'd say hold pattern right now. Now that I've thought about it, keep what you have, because I can't Bateman and Allen. That's hard, Baby Santa. That's hard for me to. I know you're worried about the Keenan Allen hamstring injury, and he's had injuries in the past, and they bit me in the butt. But I don't know, man. I like the Gabe Davis thing, but Michael Pittman's already been hurt. You know, and Zach Ertz, I mean, he's done better than I thought he would do in Arizona because he's on the tail end of his career. But I don't know, dude. Irv Smith, yeah, he scored 1 touchdown, but that Minnesota offense is the thing is the Minnesota offense struggles to get going, and the Colts offense struggles to get going. But the Chargers offense has been going, the Ravens offense has been going, and the Cardinals offense has been going. So you'd be getting rid of 3 guys whose offenses are moving for 3 guys who only one of those offenses is moving, and he's not the number 1 guy in Gabe Davis. So I'd probably hold pattern right now. My initial thought was, yeah, why not? But now that I'm looking at it again, I'm gonna tell you to hold serve on that. Next game up here, Denver at Vegas here. Denver, believe it or not, tied with Kansas City, AFC West 2-1, gutted out like I told Nate Hackett, my good friend Nate Hackett. Like I told him this week, gritty ain't always pretty. They got the win. Gritty ain't always pretty, baby, but it doesn't have to be. So, Denver Broncos, let's take a look at it. Russ the Bus, not bad, but he's a quarterback 2 right now. Javonte Williams is worth the play, and Melvin Gordon is worth the play because of the fact that, this team is kind of up in the air with everything. It's hard to tell you either one right now. Javonte and Melvin, hopefully you have enough depth that you can make them your running back 3. And Baby Santa, anytime, man. Come back every week, even just for the fact that I would have to say Baby Santa. It is worth you coming back to the show. So God bless, and thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, hopefully you can put him as a running back 3. Probably Javonte would be a running back 2. I'm still okay with that. It's just both of these guys, neither one of them has stretched out above the other one right now. Cortland Sutton, though, over Jerry Jeudy, I would say that. I am comfortable with Cortland Sutton over Jeudy. I still think Jeudy has value. Hopefully you can flex him out, though, because he's not one of your top two guys. And KJ Hamler, he's a deep flex, but he is a grab and stash type of guy. Cortland Sutton, I mean, I told you before, I covered him in college when he was at SMU. He's Hands McGee. He's really good at it and good at being a possession receiver. When he's out there, when he's healthy, which you really haven't seen in his first couple seasons because he hasn't been healthy, he can be a dominant force. And, I mean, he had 97 yards in this ugly game. So give him some credit. I do like Cortland Sutton in this one. On the other side of it, I do like Derek Carr. Josh Jacobs as hopefully a guy you can flex that out. Devontae Adams, I do like him, but I got him as a wide receiver, low end 1, high end 2 at the moment, but Hunter Renfrow is still injured, so that gives Devontae even more value. God willing, Hunter will come back from that concussion. Good overall and good for the rest of his life. Darren Waller, I do like him in this matchup as well, so I do like Waller. We're going to take our final step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We'll take a quick, fast break, and we'll be back here to finish off Sunday and Monday Night Football for NFL Week 4 in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub. This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York. Coming to you, fall 2022. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, for NFL Week 4 2022-23 season, giving you advice on every single game in order how you see it. So if you're watching this video in playback and we're talking about Minnesota, New Orleans, and you need Washington, Dallas, well, you know, then within just a couple minutes there, you can go forward and get that information. That's why I put the schedule up here, because I know people will be watching this video live right now and watching it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to set their lineups in daily fantasy as well as their fantasy football leagues. So that's how you know if we're talking about Jacksonville and you need Jets pit information, you know it's coming up right after. So you're able to kind of see where we are on the timeline, which is a good thing. Steven had a question came in. Would you start Richie James and flex Madison even if Cook plays? So, well, let's tackle your first thing here. Would I start Richie James right now? So, taking a look at Richie James at the moment, by the numbers, would I start Richie James right now? I would say, well, he went to Middle Tennessee. Shout out to that. That's where Scott Schaefer is, former Syracuse head coach and former Syracuse D coordinator. Richie James at the moment right now, taking a look at what he's done in his game log this first First game of the season, he had 59 yards, 51 and 36. He doesn't have a touchdown. I can't really answer that question, Steven, unless you tell me who your other receivers are. So, there's there's no clear cut on that one because of the fact that, I don't really know who are, I need to know who are your other wide receivers besides James. So make sure you send those over to me. And would I flex Madison even if Cook plays? Again, I have to know, Steven, who are your other running backs? Because if you have Aaron Jones and Dalvin Cook, then, it's a different story. So make sure when you're asking these questions to just give me some context here. So would I start Richie James? No. But if it's better than the other opportunities that you have, then it would be yes. But overall, would I start him on a team? I would not tell you to. We did the Giants game, and I didn't even mention Richie James. Numbers aren't great, hasn't made the end zone, and I don't trust the passing offense of the Giants yet. So, Steven, just send me over who your other wide receivers are so I can get more context and help you out. And would I flex out Alexander Madison? Would I handcuff Dalvin Cook? Maybe, but it depends on how many running back spots you have and who you have for those spots. So make sure you send those over to me, and I'll be more than happy to help you. So other wide receivers are Mooney, Nico Collins, and Jacoby Myers. Other running back option is Pierce. Okay, so I would tell you, this must have been a very deep draft with a lot of teams, Steven. This feels like a 16-team fantasy league because none of your running back or wide receiver options are like really a dominant starter. So this must have been a deep league. I would tell you Mooney over James and everyone in this situation, even though Mooney's been quiet. Because Jacoby Myers, unless Jacoby, they have a quarterback situation too. So, Steven, I would say Mooney over James. And then your other running back option is Pierce. So in that case, I would play Cook if he is cleared to go, and Madison. That's who I would play. As long as Cook is cleared to go, have Madison as your handcuff because, Nico Collins is not viable. Jacoby is hurt, and Pierce is not a better option than Madison right now. So, Steven, tell me how many people drafted in your league because that is kind of like digging at the bottom of the barrel there when you're looking at Nico Collins and some of these other guys. So just let me know kind of where you're at with that and be happy to help you. Thank you for the question. Sunday Night Football, Kansas City at Tampa Bay. This is a rematch, right? This is like Super Bowl City, baby. But Tampa Bay doesn't look like Tampa Bay. And Kansas City's trying to look like Kansas City again. They look more like they're getting back to Kansas City than Tampa looks like they're getting anything going right now. So just kind of a weird situation. I pray and I hope more than anything that everything's okay with Tom Brady and his family off the field because that's obviously more important than all of this. And I just hope things get better because it was a kind of a weird situation going into the season. Looking at this, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I got him as a lower-end running back 2, high-end running back 3. Pat Mahomes worth a start. Juju, I have him as a wide receiver 2. Travis Kelce, obviously, wide receiver 1. And it's hard to really pick anybody else. It's typical. This is typical of Kansas City, right? It's a wide receiver by committee. So outside of Juju, there's nobody I can tell you definitely play that guy. Leonard Fournette on the other side, I have him as a lower-end running back 2 because of the matchup. Mike Evans is healthy and Julio's out and Chris Godwin's out. So, they're questionable. So just watch those, God willing. Godwin has a hamstring injury, which I told you that, and the groin are very nagging. for especially wide receivers and running backs, really everybody in general. But in all my time playing fantasy, if there's a hamstring or a groin injury, that could be worse than an injury that keeps them out a few weeks, because these are the ones where like they can play through it, but they may never be the same again, or it may be something that just literally bothers them every single game. So just watch it. Julio Jones, he's injury prone. So Mike Evans and Cameron Brate have the better bet for you in this to see if Tampa can get their offense going. Obviously, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, I have him as a running back too in this. As much as these teams are good, and their history is good and their quarterbacks are good, this game doesn't look as pretty in fantasy. And Monday Night Football, the Rams at San Francisco, Rams at the Niners. Taking a look at the Rams first and foremost. And for the Los Angeles Rams, and then taking a look at the San Francisco 49ers here. First and foremost with the Rams, Matty Stafford, he looked ugly in this last game, so it's hard for me to tell you definitely to play him. Cam Akers is a running back too. Darrell Henderson Jr., he had less touches, but there's other games where he did better through the middle, right? He did better against Buffalo in a game where they really didn't do much of anything. So I think Cam and Darrell, hopefully you can play either one of them as a running back 3 and put them in your flex, and that you have running backs ahead of them that can go. But you may have drafted Cam Akers high, so he might be your 2. I'd keep him as your 2. Darrell Henderson I'd have as a lower end 2 this week. Cooper Kupp is worth the play. I know he didn't have the best week, but he is worth the play to me. Allen Robinson, I've just not been sold on him in a long time since he was in Jacksonville. And Tyler Higbee, tight end 2. Really, the value's in Cooper Kupp. Hopefully he'll step it up. And Cam Akers at the moment with some value in Darrell Henderson. On the other side of it for San Francisco, Jimmy Garoppolo's a quarterback 2 for me in this one. Deebo Samuel is worth the play, and George Kittle's back, so he's worth the play. But temper your expectations. We could have another low-scoring Monday night game. This could get in the 20s. Could be better than the Giants-Dallas game, but it could also still, not be the prettiest game. So just prepare yourself for that. With that being said, that is all your fantasy football advice for this week inside of the Fantasy Football Hour, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub exclusively. NFL Week 4 2022-23 season. If you have any questions and you missed getting them over to me, send them in this video. Reply on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT to this video. I will see them and I'll answer them, so make sure you send them in. And try to send them within hopefully an hour before. Hopefully you get it in. Once you get into that hour, that 10 minutes before game time, that's going to be tough. So get them in as soon as you can for those of you that are going to send them over after. Let's see what we have. Chef Anabi said, should I trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Freiermuth for Akers and Patterson? Godwin and Patterson or Etienne and Patterson? I guess you're talking about Cordell Patterson. And I would say... That's tough. Right now, so, Chef and Abby, right in this moment, I would say, just because Godwin has been injured, I would say Etienne and Patterson, with Godwin and Patterson as a close second, in my opinion. That's what I would do. So thank you for getting that question in. If you have any questions, send them over. Get them over to me all throughout the week. Today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Try to get them in, before an hour going into game time so I can make sure that I answer all your questions. But send them over to me. Thank you for your questions on YouTube.com and Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT. You can always send them on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as some of you have as well in the past, because that is our live audio feed. In the meantime, thank you to the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. You're home to watch all of these games and to go all week long. So head off to the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue, Camillus, New York. And for those of you staying at home or at the office or wherever you're going to be, at your friend's house, 315-487-2222 for takeout and delivery. That's 315-487-2222. We thank you for being a part of the show every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com /LiveNowDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.com. Once the shows go live, you could hop into our archive and look for them out there on Amazon Music, as well as checking them out on Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. A big thanks to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners and beyond: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Mon Paws, Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Cicerone, Chick-fil-A Clay, Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Watertown, opening later October of 2022, Mother's Cupboard, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It just fades up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Join us with the Dolphins on Wednesdays like today at 9 a.m. Eastern Time to start off Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are here with your Dolphins every Wednesday at 9 a.m. during Dolphin time. Every first and third Wednesday is AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday is the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, as well as administration, future Dolphins, and alumni here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So make sure you check out the Dolphins with us every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time as we air it here on the live feed. And, of course, you can catch them by going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, as well as by going to our YouTube channel and subscribing to youtube.com /wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are also exclusive multimedia marketing partners of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Check us out here every single month with our Bobcat Buzz specials. Never miss a moment with the Bobcats, including this Friday, as we have a Bobcat takeover in hour number 2 featuring the women's basketball team for the Bryan and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse. A lot of great stuff coming up with the Bobcats. A lot of great things we've already been able to do with them. You can check out all of our coverage of the Bobcats by going to our BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, subscribing here on youtube.com /wakeupcalldt. And for more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, we got another question came in from Steven here. Would you flex Sanders or Pierce half PPR? Thanks again. Are you talking about Miles Sanders? If you're talking about Miles Sanders, then Miles Sanders. So just make sure in the future, just send me over the, if they have the same last name as somebody else, just send it over to me so I make sure I give you the right information. I want to misinform anybody. So if it's Miles Sanders, Steven, then Miles Sanders 1,000,000% over Damian Pierce. So with that being said, I want to thank hour number 1, our fantastic Dolphin Dive guests, Madeline Kennedy, a big part of the team getting back to 500 at 5-5 for Lemoyne Volleyball. Big shout out to our 3 goal scorers of yesterday, Reagan as well as Hilder and Peyton, all joining me here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, joining me together as they won the game together as a team. Appreciate them for their Dolphin Dive, following their 3-1 victory over top 25 nationally ranked Franklin Pierce for Lemoyne Women's Soccer. And of course, thanks for joining me as always for the Wildcat Sports Pub's Fantasy Football Power Hour, the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, all the time on wakeupcalldt.com. Subscribe to youtube.com /wakeupcalldt. And as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon.